go for a walk outside now. The summer sun's calling my name.
Hey, Paul.
I hear you now, I just can't stay inside all day.
No.
Gotta get out, get me some of those rays. Woo! Everybody's laughing, sunshine day. Everybody's smiling, sunshine day.
Yeah!
Everybody seems so happy today.
Hey.
It's a sunshine day.
It's been a while since we sang that one.
Nope.
A month.
Nope. You guys had the proper enthusiasm, though. I'm proud of you.
How about that? Paul Perillo joins us as he does every Wednesday at this hour from Patriots.com, an entity also known as Sunshine.com. So, of course, it's brought to you by Devlin Energy. Energy costs keep rising, so do what I did. Get a solar energy system from Devlin Energy and use the sun to eliminate your electric bills for good. To get a free quote, call 781-812-0240 or visit devlinenergy.com. Paul, your thoughts on that win and really more what it means going forward. Do you think it means anything going forward?
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue what it means going forward. But Sunday was fun, and it's been a while. I mean, I know we joke around in here, and, Jim has an alternative version of that song that we've been playing lately, and that's the way the games have been, like pretty much every one of them.
A brutal slog.
Since the Philadelphia one, which I thought was relatively entertaining, I'm like Dallas and the Jets, the Saints and the Raiders, they were just slogs, and they were hard to watch. Sunday, really from start to finish, was an entertaining game. You looked like you were going to blow it at the end with the Kendrick Bourne fumble, but for the first time, you were able to execute when you had to at the end offensively, and that, to me, was the difference. Is you saw a different Mac Jones and a different offense when the game was on the line. So what it means going forward, it will mean nothing if they can't duplicate it. But for one day, it was a lot of fun and a lot of enthusiasm down there.
Do you think they cracked some code or figured something out, or how much was it the opponent?
I think it's all of the above. I do think some of it, it's not just how Buffalo's playing, which they're struggling. There's no two ways about it. I also think their style of defense plays well to what the Patriots try to do. I thought they moved the ball pretty well against Buffalo last year, or the last game of the year in Buffalo, and they didn't really move the ball very well in any game for maybe Minnesota, a couple of games here or there. So I do think kind of the way that the Bills play in the secondary, especially without Milano, they broke a lot of tackles. They got a lot of yards after the catch. They got the ball out quickly. I think that really plays to the way Buffalo plays defense. They want to get pressure on you and then keep everything in front and tackle, and they weren't able to do that. But I will say this. I don't know what it's going to mean, but I do think the reaction after the game was telling to me.
I was just going to ask
the players.
This. Yes.
Like, Hunter Henry, Gesicki, David Andrews, they would never admit this, and I don't want to put words in their mouths. None of them ever said anything like this. I wonder if there was some question in the offensive locker room if this guy could do it. And he did it. You don't have to question it anymore because now he did it. And I'm not telling you that's what he is. But, I think Parcells used to say something about, a demonstrated ability.
No. Confidence is born of demonstrated ability.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go. So now they have belief. Like, we can do it. If they're in a tight game again, they're not going to say, well, we can't do it because we never succeed in this one. For one day, they did succeed, and I do think that can carry over. That mentality can carry over. Are they good enough? We'll find out. Miami's not going to be easy down there. It's never easy down there, even when Brady was playing. So I don't think it will necessarily say, oh, that was a one-game fluke if they go down to Miami and lose. But like I said, it sounds condescending, but that was a fun game Sunday. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and clearly some personnel stuff. Owenu at right tackle stops the bleeding, focusing on Bourne and Douglas as your top two wideouts versus Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster. I think you're finding something there and a real role for Pharaoh Brown and 3 tight end block. I think
Chuck went up for the media for a change.
Well, okay, right? Go ahead.
Seriously, like how many times have you guys been talking about the need to get more speed in the lineup? How many times have people said, when you looked pretty good at tackle a couple of years ago when he played there, why wouldn't you just try to plug a hole doing that? And I think some of those things that they did, it worked. Now, to your larger point, which I think we're all trying to figure out, is it sustainable? Is it going to be able to carry over? I don't know. Because if you look at the way the game unfolded, it was exactly perfect to script. Like, you get the ball first, you go down and score. You get a turnover, you go down and score. Now you have a 2-score lead, and you're able to play exactly the way you want to play. So what happens if it doesn't work that way? What happens if you don't get the ball at the beginning and the other team goes down and scores? Or if you go 3 and out on the first drive and then the other team doesn't turn it over? Because let's face it, the Patriots didn't really stop Buffalo often on Sunday. Buffalo punted once, and they had one turnover. One real turnover. I'm not counting the one at the end. So for the most part, Buffalo moved the ball and scored. What happens if they do that first and the Patriots have to chase? So I think everything went according to plan with the speed being out there. I love the idea of Douglas with Rager and Thornton. I know Thornton didn't play very many snaps, but you throw those guys out there, it puts a thought in the other team's mind. Oh, this isn't the same. They might be able to run by us. They don't usually do that. Parker played half the snaps that he normally does. Juju was inactive. So I think some of those personnel moves, I think, worked.
Okay. You want to join the football conversation with Paul? 617-779-0985. Yes, Anthony.
So on those personnel changes, Paul, my complaint there, and it's obvious. Why did it take so long?
Yeah, I mean, part of it with Douglas, he missed the game. He didn't play a lot in Dallas. No, what I'm getting mixed up. The New Orleans, when he got the concussion. He missed most of that game and then all of the Raiders game with the concussion. So part of that is frustrating to me because I think it stems back to that fumble against Miami where and I think there's been some indications that he maybe is not always where he's supposed to be in terms of route running and stuff like that. And my argument to that is, well, maybe if you don't bench him after he fumbles, in the first quarter of the second game of the season, maybe some of those mistakes have already been worked out of him and he's a more consistent player. I liked what I saw. Do you know he had he drew 3 penalties the other day? He caught the ball on those plays, though. So it's not just like he's a little guy, you can knock him off his route and disrupt him. He showed some toughness, some physicality for a small guy. I don't know if he'll hold up physically when he starts getting hit a lot, but he was really impressive in that game. That's one thing that frustrates me, Tony, to your point, and I think that's what you're getting at. Why did it take so long?
Rigidity on Bill's part.
Yeah, he made a mistake early in the season, and he got banished for a little bit, but hopefully now that's behind him.
What do we make of the Malik Cunningham thing? And where is he? Did he get re-signed? Did he clear waivers?
He's back now.
Yeah. Is that official?
He cleared waivers per Mark Daniels on Twitter. And he's back with the Patriots
I'm not
practice squad.
surprised. I mean, there's not, I didn't think there was any chance really that someone would claim him. So he'll go back to the practice squad. I don't understand why you would have done it the way they did it. I know they had some injury problems. They could have made him a standard elevation and then put him, he reverts back. You can do that 3 times with players. They chose to put him on the roster permanently. And, as you can see, it was permanent for about 10 days.
Because they're fiddle effing around with the most important.
I think they still don't know. There was a question. I sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
Yeah.
There's a question, the very last one of the press conference today. I know this fascinates you. That's why I interrupted you, the backup quarterback stuff. The last question of the press conference, Bill was asked how Will Grier has progressed in the scout team reps and what. And in the first sentence of the answer, it was, Will and Bailey have done a good job of that. They both do that. No one asked about Bailey Zappi's role in the scout team. But Bill answered it, letting you know that both of those guys are doing scout work, which tells me I wouldn't be surprised in one of these weeks if it's flip-flopped. And Zappi is the emergency quarterback and Grier is the backup. Once they feel comfortable enough.
The real aberration in that whole thing with Cunningham was that stupidity in Vegas.
I mean, it's
if they had just moved him off the roster this week without anything from Vegas. In other words, he had not been active for Vegas. Then we'd say, okay, no big deal, like a standard move. But how do you go from one to the other?
How do you have guys a heartbeat away from the presidency who you hate and you keep, forgive the crude analogy, assassinating the president? In other words, you're constantly benching your starter. You have the worst offensive line in football. So you're either going to bench him or he's going to get his head taken off. And you have guys who are a heartbeat away, who you hate, all of them, because you keep cutting all of them. It's insane. There is no sense. There is no other team that would do that at quarterback the way the Patriots do that at quarterback. There's nobody else. And it's just, and that is Belichick and his mentality, because to him it is just another position where sometimes you're thin at a position, you got to futz around at the bottom of the roster with this position or that. And he treats the quarterback the same as he would another position where you just sometimes run into a number thing, and it's like no extra priority. This is, another reason why just letting him go as the GM doesn't do it for me, because he's still going to control the game day roster and just his mentality. Why would you want someone with that mentality running your football program in this day and age?
I wouldn't.
I mean, so
you can't keep him if this whole idea of stripping the GM duties to me is nuts. I think it's nuts.
I think it's far-fetched, absolutely.